All right.
Hi, my name is Garrett. And today I'm going to elucidate for you the 3 Schedule I drugs that are being used in trials to treat mental illness. So to start out, I'm going to start out with a little personal story. My friend Ryan, we've been homies since like 7th grade. We used to hang out all the time after school, and he used to be very shy all the time. He wouldn't really talk to new people. He was only very involved in his little friend group, which included me and one other person. One day, he decided in senior year of high school that he wanted to take acid. If you guys know what acid is, it's LSD, which is lysergic acid diethylamide, and he wanted to try it. I didn't want to take it, but I was going to babysit him, pretty much. So I was making sure that he wouldn't do anything stupid. Well, he takes the little tablet, and about 2 hours later, he's laying on the ground with his eyes closed, grasping frantically at nothing. Every time he closes his hand on something, he just squeals with delight. So I'm guessing whatever he was doing was fun. But he came out of it saying, wow, that was an amazing experience. I would definitely try it again, just not anytime soon. The next day, we were hanging out, and we went to Carl's Jr. to get some food. And I ran into an old elementary school friend. And I stopped to say what's up. Ryan didn't know who he was, so I assumed he was going to be very shy and introverted like he always is. Well, actually, Ryan walked right up and introduced himself with no problems at all. No shy Ryan anymore. I brought it up later, just casually, and he said, I don't know, just something after taking that acid, it made me think about who I am. And that's why I believe that these types of Schedule I drugs have some type of medicinal purpose. So the first of the 3 drugs that are being used are LSD, as I said, and it's manufactured from lysergic acid, which is found in the ergot fungus that grows on rye and other grains, says drugfreeworld.org. Users report ego dissolution, meaning that you lose the awareness of who you are, visual and auditory hallucinations, and a spiritual connection to the universe. These are what user reports are saying about it. Right now, it is being used as a therapeutic agent for a range of medical conditions and psychological traumas, including cancer patients, military troops, and suffering from PTSD. So they would give these PTSD victims LSD microdosing to kind of test the waters to see how they react to therapy while under the influence of the drug. The next one is MDMA or Molly. Methylene dioxymethamphetamine, otherwise known as MDMA or Molly, is a happy drug. MDMA causes the release of 3 neurotransmitters, norepinephrine, dopamine, and most prominently serotonin. The release of serotonin heightens positive mood and reduces anxiety, while norepinephrine and dopamine increase energy, alertness, and arousal. The synthetic drug also bumps up levels of oxytocin and prolactin hormones, which may cause a person to become less receptive to fear inducers and more inclined to social interaction. So pretty much that's exactly what it does to your body. MDMA can be used as a treatment for social anxiety and prolonged psychological trauma. For example, say, terrible example, but someone was raped by their father. If they don't want to deal with it because they don't want to go back to that place, the release of norepinephrine and stuff like that helps them address the problems because they won't have a fear of addressing the problem, so they can get over it quicker. And the last one being ayahuasca. It sounds weird, but it's an Amazonian plant mixture that is capable of inducing altered states of consciousness, usually lasting between 4 to 8 hours after ingestion. Ranging from mildly stimulating to extremely visionary, ayahuasca is used primarily as a medicine and as shamanic means of communication, typically in a ceremonial session under the guidance of an experienced drinker. So this doesn't have a very modern medical use for it, but it is used as more of a spiritual healer. because in the Amazonian cultures, they would take this and they brew it as a tea, and they would get together, all of them, in a ceremony, and they would drink it as sort of a rite of passage, or to restore their faith in their religion and their culture. So this is used more as like a spiritual healing rather than actual medical healing. Conclusion. Though illegal, these Schedule I drugs have the potential to help mend the ailing minds of many who need it, either through spiritual exploration while on LSD or a controlled MDMA therapy session. While the final results are still pending on the trial, the future of this experiment looks bright.
Gesundheit. All right, well, I think the story about your friend Ryan ought to be your attention device. You should use that before you get to identification of what the topic is, so that we have some, you draw us in a little bit. As it is, it's instead of being kind of like a climactic start, it's kind of an anticlimactic reveal. And I think that, you don't really have much of an attention device otherwise, so why not just switch it around a little bit and start with that story immediately at the beginning. Your thesis is relatively clear. There's kind of a preview, except that you don't tell us what the drugs are that you're going to be referring to in the preview. You just tell us that we're going to be talking about these 3 drugs. So I knew that they were coming, but I didn't know which ones they were. I assumed LSD was going to be one of them, since that's the story that you started with. There's a little bit of research in the presentation here and there. Sometimes things are not cited, sometimes they are. I think you need a little bit more information to suggest the possible benefits of all 3 drugs in terms of therapeutics, or like you talked about, spirituality. That last one is probably sounds like it's not necessarily FDA territory, but rather some kind of religious experience that people are looking at, that it's not really directed toward a particular emotional issue or physical issue, but rather something else that's more spiritual in nature. The presentation, your body movement's a little bit limited. You kind of stand in the one spot. Gestures are really limited because you've got the big pages in your hand that you constantly are waving around and flipping over. That's really not what you want at this point. If you guys have notes in your hands for the last speech, if they are not on index cards, and if you have more than 3 index cards, I'm going to holler on you. Here, I'm hollering on you anyway, because I told people don't use the script size notes, and that's exactly what you did. So shame on you. Let me get a ruler and put your knuckles over here, and I'll take care of them. Your voice, I think, is okay. We can hear you. I think you could maybe project a little bit more, and that would give you a little bit more authority in the presentation and sound a little less passive. But we can hear you. I think there's a reasonable range in your voice when you're speaking to us. And although you do have to look at your notes a lot and you do some reading, it's not quite as, it doesn't feel like it's all scripted. And especially in that first section where you're talking about your friend, it's a little bit less that way. Although, again, I think you lose the opportunity to connect with the audience because the pages in your hand, you are looking down there pretty regularly, and you have to keep flipping through the pages, and like I said, you tend to grasp them with both hands, which means that you're less engaged with the situation and circumstances that you find yourself in. Okay, thank you.